I think there's. Yeah, I think this is.
Right. Good evening, everybody.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Town Community Committee on the 4th of July. I'd like to wish happy Independence Day to all our American students. Which there are not very many, I suspect. Apologies for absence. We have received apologies from Sarah Miller, Councillor Sarah Miller, the Mayor, and Councillor David. I suppose they're here.
Ian?
Yeah, it's,
You're the questions in
I suspect.
that might be from now. Is it?
Yes, it is.
I
don't tell you your apologies for absence. Please accept my apology. You substituted your.
I like that right there, that makes it more.
Okay, item 2 is declarations of interest. Are there any? See none. Thank you. Item 3 is public participation. Would anybody like to speak? Public gathering. Okay, thank you very much. Item 4 is minutes. We'll take these in turn. So item 1 is to approve the town and community minutes of the meeting on the 23rd of May. Do we have any comments, corrections? None. All those in favour? Thank you very much. And to note the minutes of the event subcommittee held on the 20th of June. Comments, corrections? See none. In favour? Noted. Thank you very much. Item 5, police, to receive an update from our neighbourhood policing team, who we're delighted to have with us today. Thank you very much. Barbara.
So well, not an awful lot to tell you. The regatta is safely over. We're pleased. Not an awful lot's happened up in the last couple of months. It's getting ready for regatta. I don't know if you're aware any ASB we had down at Hawley Meadows. No. Beginning of June, was it beginning of June? We've probably had about 200 children pitched up after school. Exams finished. 200 kids went down there. Quite a lot. One kid, a knife was taken off him, and he got a bit of a shoeing. He was banned from coming back. He's a Reading lad, banned from coming back into Henley. So that's all being investigated as we speak. But the kids seem to congregate down there quite a lot now. It's private, it's owned by the regatta, so technically we don't police it, but we've been trying to help them out and do a bit, because there's not a load of us either, so it's quite a big site. We've asked them to block it off, but they can't because there's a public right of way going all the way through it. So while the regattas was on, so pre-regatta was a bit of a nightmare for us. While the regatta's on, they leave tomorrow, it's been fine, because all the security are there, but once regatta's gone, we're then back to having that problem. So we'll then sort of try and work with the regatta committee to try and keep it as quiet as we can. It used to be Mill Meadows. I think Mill Meadows, because we've got cameras everywhere, and they decided we'll go somewhere where they're not spotted. So it's hundreds of kids.
All right, now you mentioned, I think I did see them coming back through town.
All been given bottles of vodka from mummy and daddy and what have you, which is not great. We've spoken to all the off licenses about serving underage kids, giving them vapes. I know there's been a couple of parents have been down the shops and said, look, our kids are 12 and they're getting vapes. So all the off licenses and vape sellers said no. And we'll look at doing a purchase off with them if they're going to carry on serving the youngsters. But I think until they're back at school and the weather's good, Hawley Meadows is going to be a bit of an area for us. So that's just one to keep an eye on. On the whole, ASB in the town, it's not been too bad. I think a chap who lives down Duke Street has got a camera, and he does report quite a bit to me of cars going the wrong way down Duke Street at speed at night, weeing in the street. I know someone said to me, do you want us to put signs up to say, please don't wee in the street? I think it looked very nice in Henley with big signs everywhere. But so it's just general antisocial behaviour we want to try and get on top of. Other than that, bit of public order over the regatta period. Mostly, or 2 of the jobs were our local offenders, not people from out of town. That's being investigated, and the rest of it all happened on the other side, on the Mahiki side. So, but fairly good regatta. So yeah. So any questions? Anything got
Breaking at Station News, 4 o'clock, station, on Friday morning.
They had a break-in, didn't they? Yes, yeah, that's being investigated. There's 3, they got pictures of 3, I think, offenders.
They were all masked up one
Almost,
day.
apparently, so yeah,
Yeah, £15,000 worth of cigarettes, I understand.
it's been done before.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
tell. Yeah,
Fourth
I think
time.
if I'm more than once, if I'm right, I think it's been done
Yeah,
several
it's
times. So,
awful.
Yeah, yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah,
We
we
had
had-
catch them.
I don't know, I'll pop and see them and look at their security, but they do need to look at.
Yes,
security.
advice from you as to.
I think with ASB generally, the footage I've got, I think you know the chap, don't you, who it is? So he said, you know, we're having signs that are in the left outside. I think that the ice cream shop leaves a sign out that was chucked across the road, and the plant's been nipped out and the tree's been carried down, because we're trying to make the town look nice, but of course, the kids, when they've had a few sherbets, they rip the tree out and then lob it at their somebody, and it's, so I think we just need to pull in what we can at night and don't leave dangly signs lying about. I know it's hard to sort of sometimes end the days from a lock up and go home, but they are missiles to be launched, sadly. So just to be a bit careful there.
Councillor Hoskins.
This is related to the station news breaking. And I met with the owner that morning.
Yeah.
He's had a knife attack, he's had 4 break-ins. But he also told me that there's a lot of criminal activity around that area. Now, I don't know about it. What is interesting is in the Henley Standard last week, there's another home in Station Road which was broken into. And I think it'd be helpful to know whether in fact it's just people talking a lot and saying there's a lot of criminal, or whether there is actually an increased activity in that area. Not for now, but
No, I don't think it's particularly increased. You've got a shop that's very near the station, because we've got Fawley Meadows active, a place to go for the kids. We've had a lot more kids coming in from Reading, a lot more. The 5 was Reading kids on Reading kids, it wasn't any of our lot. So when we go down, I know all our little bunch, and they would say hello, and they're quite nice, and they're Henley kids, they know us. The Reading kids coming in, different ethnicities, a lot more sort of knife carrying. We spoke to British Transport Police to see whether we can do an operation with them to stop people coming and they go to the knife arch before they come off the train. That's quite a lot of manpower, and there's not a lot of us, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, I think anything around a shop, because they go there, try, and it's not, if the kids don't buy a drink, they'll send somebody who's over 18 in to buy the drink. The shop aren't looking outside to see it's been given to. So some guys go, yeah, I'll buy, 2 bottles of vodka, come out, gives the kids, and off they go. They think they're doing a good job. Of course, then the kids get out of school.
following advice from both the town clerk and deputy town clerk about the possibility of installing a security barrier in front of the house, in front of the shop. I told them, and they're going to reply to CBC that planning application.
They haven't got shutters, have they?
They've
They
got
could
shut
put shutters, they
inside,
don't very nice.
but not a shut outside.
Okay, she was talking about shutters.
So they're looking at putting
I'm going to
shutters.
chat with them and see what we can do, whether there's some,
Councillor Hinton.
A month or 2 ago, there was the Carlos car theft. Driveway, we have, I was gonna ask for how many was there?
It was, we were hit, we were
Disaster.
targeted very quickly. We were done with eight vehicles, 6 Mercedes, 1 Mustang that was found in the road, and a BMW. All high-end vehicles, all done without keys. So the scanner, we've done quite a lot of work with social media. And I know everyone says, oh, why aren't the police there? We can't protect everyone's house every night, everyone's drive. If you have a keyless car, you have to put your keys in a box that stops you. My son's Mercedes went, he left it in Basingstoke on the drive, he came out in the morning, the car's gone. He looked at his ring doorbell, the guy, it's the scanner on his front window, the car opened and off he drove. And they'll be gone out of this area before we even know it. So we had 8 here. They then went up to Catslip, Nettlebed, Park Corner, and that's it, they're gone now. They'll target somewhere else. So it's organised crime. It's not local people. And it's very hard to hit if you don't know when they're coming. I think Abingdon have been done, so did. So we sort of, our teams are chasing them around. So there's another department that looks into the crime and thefts, but they've all gone to low loaders and disappear.
Councillor Candida.
Thank you for the update. I'm very new as a councillor, so forgive me for a very basic question I'm about to ask. How do people get in touch with you to report a crime or to say I'm feeling a bit unsafe? There's perhaps a whole bunch of young people or whatever.
Yeah. If it's a
How do we
crime
do this?
report, if something's happening in action, 999. If it's 101 to say, oh, by the way, I've left my shed open for the last 2 weeks and my mower's gone, ring 101.
Okay.
You can email me directly. If you want advice or if you want anything safeguarding, the schools come straight to me. They don't go through 101, so it takes ages to answer. You can do an online report to 101, which is probably quicker. They log it and they'll send you a crime report. If it's a crime you're reporting. If you've got any of the neighbourhood team, and you've mostly got my emails, haven't you? I think most people have. But I can let you have my email address, or the Henley NHPT mailbox. I'll leave some cards with you, and then you can all have a card. Just email me and I'll make contact.
What's Henley
NHPT, but it's a bit longer than that. It's Henley NHPT at thamesvalley.police.uk.
Okay, somebody else does it. Is that the card that you'll leave?
I'll give you
You'll leave
a
the
card
card.
and that. Sharon, do you got
I
mine?
can forward it on.
He's got all my
Yeah,
things, phone numbers, everything. So just ring, text.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm particularly interested in the Forley Meadows because I live down
Okay.
that end and I have noticed
Because
over the
also-
summer, there's a lot of young people. So when you mentioned that you're increasing your presence there, what does that mean? What does that look like?
We attend more often. I mean, we wouldn't normally go there, it's private land. But obviously I spoke to Ed Warner from the regatta, and he has got security guards, but they're there for the regatta predominantly. Once the regatta's over, they all go. They'll keep a few on for the festival, but when that's gone, they'll disappear. Of course, the kids won't be gone till they're back at school. And if the weather stays nice, every weekend they'll be down there. And because it's a bit of a zone where they think there's no cameras, unlike Mill Meadows, there's water, there's grass, there's no police, whoopee, that's where they're going to go.
What kind of crime do they commit? Or is
It's antisocial behaviour. I mean, there's a boat lying about, and it's not there. There's a chance I'd be being used. I mean, there's rowing boats, canoes, nothing is probably safe. They're probably going to be drinking, low-level drugs. But it's just, it's kids being kids. But then again, we don't want to become a norm that they're going to be there every year. Because years ago, 5, 6 years ago, there was a security guard that sat on the gate and stopped people going in. Now there's 2 or 3 entrances. The kids can't get in one, they'll go in another one, another one, another one. So it's just trying to, we want to have fun, enjoy it, but then not to cause the, and then of course there's all the litter. They've had to employ the regatta committee, somebody every weekend to have litter, 5, 6 bagfuls of stuff dropped. And the other part, Freeman's, they've had campers down there. 2 weekends in a row, people camping. And they've rung me up and said, oh, we've got campers. I said, okay, well, I'll go and move them on. When I've got there, they've gone. I said, you've got no signs up to say no campers, no barbecues. So people think it's a free piece of land, don't they? And they stayed overnight, had free camping and then moved on the next day. So I said, just go to the committee, get some signs up and just say no camping, no barbecues. This is not a public space for you. It's not. So that makes sense. We do. There you are.
Thank you very much for the updates, and I'm delighted to hear that regatta went well.
Yeah.
One thing I have noticed just on various message boards is the actual spate of crime with boats being targeted along the River Thames. And I know in Henley there was one boat last year very near the Relay Hotel that was stolen and then recovered in Goring.
Yes.
Is there anything that's being done to try and monitor this, or what can be done in the event that a boat is stolen?
All boats are or should be registered to go through a lock. they have to be registered. So that if a boat's stolen, and the boat that was stolen, I think last year belonged to the vicar. Was that the one? Was that the boat?
I think it's what salad days, yeah.
Okay, so we knew the guy that had taken it. We chased him up the river because Hobbs gave me a lift. We went upstream, we jumped off, and the guy dumped the boat, parked it, and disappeared. So we knew how to find the owner. If the boats are have a license, every time they go to a lock, the lockkeeper checks the license. If they haven't got a license, the lockkeeper haven't the power to stop them, but they will radio the Environment Agency and let them know this bloke with the blue hood and blah, 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 called such and such is now without a license. So it's the Environment Agency that will stop them. So it is quite hard, because the Shiplake Lock is the next police officer, so that's how I know what's going on, what's coming in and out. And of course, quite a lot comes through from Reading, and they try and get through, but the lockkeepers aren't allowed to stop them as such. Because it's just too much.
Most of the time, the lockkeepers aren't there, and I have only had my license checked once in 3 years. So it is, they normally check your license on the mooring rather than in the lock.
Right, well, I mean, unless you're going in and out of the lock, I suppose if you didn't go between the lock, you stayed in between all the time, you're never going to.
And the lock keepers are not on duty for 16 hours of the day, but the lock's still operational.
No.
So is there anything more that could be done within that?
Possibly, I can look into it, I don't know quite what.
I just wondered how many boats there have been.
We had, I know there's been one in the last week, which is a marine boat.
Not
from
sure
Shiplake.
local, but I know of at least 6 along the River Thames this year.
Oh, do you that been? Wow, okay.
So it's,
And where were they found? Sort of just.
a lot of them
taken?
haven't been,
Okay.
but it's not to my knowledge.
So it's not kids just taking them, they're taking them, they're going for good and they're being taken up
Yes.
the river and. Okay. I'll have a look into it. I don't honestly know the answer, but I can have a look into it and speak to the Environment Agency.
That's appreciated, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. One more from Councillor Candido.
I think there is a good partnership between yourselves and the D2 Baptist Church around
Yep.
street classes. Is that something?
Yes, I ring them every year and say, please come.
Okay, I just wondered if there was any comment about how it's gone so far.
I haven't spoken to them this year because they always work quite late at night and I didn't this year, I was on day shifts. We give them our shop watch radio, so they're in
Yeah.
contact with the
Yeah.
Silver Command. They're great because I mean, they all come and they just potter about at night. They're all fairly elderly and all the kids sort of go around and get lollipops, flip flops to walk home in, and it goes quite well. So we'll continue to use them. But they normally come back and let me know how they've been as well, so.
Okay, yeah, it'd just be interesting,
They're
just
very good,
from,
yeah.
you know, there's
We
an
haven't got
element
our
of
own.
community.
We did try our own here, but I think it never took off the ground, not spotted at the street masters, but the Reading ones I have to come on.
Yeah, they come over,
Yeah, they're good.
thanks.
Okay, thank you both so much for coming in. I know you can't always make it, but when you do, we really.
Yeah, no,
So
I
thank
can
you.
try. All right, brilliant. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so, on to item 6, the appointment of the events subcommittees, their terms of reference and membership. Did anyone have any comments on terms of reference? Membership, Councillor Hunt?
I noticed one, given the proposed membership, is that the vice chair of this committee is meant to be a member ex officio, but is not on the proposed list of members. So I believe you're the vice chair, if I'm correct, and then, but what's the on the proposed membership list?
Chair, vice chair, there is.
Right. Okay. Make that correction.
If they want to.
Yes.
Do you?
It's using, yeah, I realise that, thank you.
Yes,
Yes,
I'm listed as a member, not an ex officio.
My understanding is on the standing committee, the mayor and deputy are ex officio, and on subcommittees at the standing committee, the chair and the vice chair are ex officio.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's.
Usually.
In the terms of reference of the events one, mayor and deputy mayor also ex officio.
Yeah. I know, well, just all ex officio.
Okay.
Well, we changed the membership of the, so you see there's a membership, perhaps the, town manager wants to speak to it, if not, I'm happy to.
Yeah, but it's still listed as the, Mary Deputy Mayor next video. On page 14.
Remove executive and add the next thing on it, if you like.
Yeah. Okay. How's it come
Thank you. Sorry if this doesn't fit into this bit, but the refocus of focused input for town centre events and the retailers forum and the tourism, the tourism kind of subcommittee. Oh. How have the people who have been asked to be on that committees been done? Do you want-
Please,
I think it's a really good idea, like it seems to work really well, and just wondered if how the communication went with existing committee members about the new direction. Were they all in favour or did they support it? Were there any questions?
So we spoke about it at the last events meeting, we spoke about the last events meeting before it came here, it was actually like an agenda item.
Right.
Not every member attended that. The Tourism Alliance and the Retailers Forum are not necessarily new. They might be new with Paul at the helm, but they're not new as such. They've both been around in various formats for a very long time. And it just made sense, as you can see from the comments on page 13 at the top, that the retailers that are on the group, instead of coming here and focusing about just Henley, this is an events committee, Henley Town Council events. And it's not necessarily focused on how we improve things for our retailers. See, so whereas the retailers forum is the perfect place for that, so it's a perfect place to exchange ideas, and people can obviously feed anything back that's relevant to a town council event, to the events committee still. And we're always approachable anyway, and committee members themselves, new, old, they've come about in many ways over the years, from friendly exchanges, people that you happen to know, people that just generally get involved in so many things in the town and volunteer, and just naturally end up there. We put call outs in the paper before. And we've actually just sat around this table and thought, well, this person might be a good idea, why don't we approach them? So it's very open, there's no set process on the membership, but the membership, you can see people are very clearly retailers, so they would be much better suited to the retailers forum, and then people are clearly more to do with tourism, and so I hope that explains it enough, maybe.
Thank you for clarifying. Okay, so all those in favour? Approved. We have item 7 rather, the election of chair for the event subcommittee. I did hear from Councillor Miller today who would like to continue as chair, so I'll code that from the chair now in a second, and thank you, Councillor Hunt. Any other proposals? I see none. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Election of vice chair for the event subcommittee. Look, propose somebody.
Close Councillor Hinton.
Thank you very much. Seconder. That's a right one. Thank you. Any other proposals? Seeing none. All those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Congratulations, Councillor.
I have so many vice chairs these days.
Councillor.
Vice, aren't you? Oh, yeah. I've got 5 vice chairs.
Item 9 is the communications manager update. Daisy was not with us today, but the report is in the agenda. Anybody have any comments? Councillor Hunt.
Now, I note that the company that agreed to visit Henley website is closing. Can I show, does that agree for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Does that also now affect the Adventure Golf website? And does it affect are we going to have to re-procure? What is there, what's the situation?
So not with the Adventure Golf website is up and running, and it's self-sufficient work with other friends. In discussion with the was in discussion with. I think with Glenn and Sarah as chair and vice chair of the committee, we discussed an alternative provider basically, and it's less than, it's about a couple of thousand less than free for you. The idea being that data communications manager would do the majority of the work of the content work heads up, so they would just create a profile.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Campbell?
Yes, I think it's just to say, it's a shame that this has been missed off, but I know that the Great Big Green Week and the involvement of the information centre and all that they did to support the Great Big Green Week was really appreciated. So just disappointed that Great Big Green Week wasn't included in the communications manager update, because it didn't take up quite a lot of, you know, support and effort by a number of people at Henley Town Council. Just want to say thank you for all the support that Henley Town Council did provide for Great Big Green Week. I think it was a really successful event for the ones that were run here. And again, a big thank you to the town, to the information centre staff and all that they did, supporting the spot bees and giving wildflower seeds and everything like that.
Thank you very much. Did anybody else have any comments? Being none, so we'll move on to agenda item 10. Thanks. Again, that's included in the agenda, but he is right here. Do you have anything else to add to it?
Well, not really. As ever, it's busy and different most days, which is very good and interesting, and take delight in doing the kind of smaller things as well as the bigger things. Replace the bin in Grays Road car park, which I'm very pleased about.
Yeah.
I've been listening to some months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all in the report. If anyone's got any questions, happy to.
Obviously, the report goes out a week in advance of the meeting, so sometimes there can be little details.
Yeah.
Change, so thank you. So,
Not really much more to add apart from, yeah, I've mentioned Christmas already, you know.
thank you. Councillor Dodds?
I'm very interested to see that you're going to be talking to the owners of the Imperial Hotel. I personally, I think that anybody who owns a Grade 2 listed building in a heritage town like Henley has a social responsibility to the town. And I know there are difficulties in the ownership and management of the building, but I do feel if there's any way that we can put any pressure on the owners. At the moment, it's been abandoned to the pigeons and the winos, and I go by this building several times a day. It's huge, there's a lot of accommodation. I don't think it'll ever be a hotel again, but it would convert into flats magnificently. When we in this country are so short of accommodation, I think it's very sad. I wouldn't use stronger language than that this is not used, turned into accommodation. Now, and maybe you can convey some of this in the gentlest terms when you meet the family. I would just like to see a little bit of energy on behalf of the owners. Sadly, in this country, we can't hit empty buildings with fines. 30 years ago, there'd have been squatters in there, and you can't do that anymore. I just think it's very, very sad, and there is a social responsibility on the owners, really. I won't say any more than that, but I'd like to think something was done with it.
Thank you. Councillor Hinton?
I was going to bring this up on progress, but it's not really the right title there, and town centre housekeeping encompasses it perfectly, I think, because we've got a real issue. We had somebody, or people at Eva, who's one of our committee members who we've just mentioned, to full council who discussed it. And it's one of the things that's just getting constantly brought to my attention is how clean or how unclean the town is at the moment as a whole. One of the problems is street cleaning itself. I know that obviously some of that was done just a week ago, Bell Street, half of Bell Street at least. So it looks a little bit better, but it was in a state for quite a while, and I can see obviously the review of the Biffle Street cleaning schedule is on there, but I think we need to go bigger. I've spoken to 3 of our street cleaning guys in the last 2 weeks. One of them doesn't work for Biffle anymore. And I've asked them what the problems are and, you know, what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy. You know, Henley isn't somewhere that any of them really want to come to. The main reason is because we have different bins to everywhere else in the district. The bins are difficult to empty, they're too small. And generally they just, you do just one big bit of rubbish and that's it, the whole bin's out of use. For every time they empty one bin somewhere else, they're emptying a Henley bin 2 or 3 times because they just don't hold the same capacity. And so I think, you know, yes, we spent money on refurbishment. To be honest, I think we wasted a lot of money and I think we wasted a lot of time. And I think now's the time to nip that in the bud and actually take this on properly. We've got a good town centre manager who's got his feet firmly on the ground now. And I think we need to really look at this holistically, not just bit by bit, street cleaning and bins. And we need to have some civic pride back in this town. We are Henley on Thames. It's not that we think we're special and we have to have unique bins. It's that we actually just want to be clean and tidy and presentable. And we want people to come back. And people are going to come back if there's no litter, and they're going to come back if there's clean streets. They're not going to come back because we've got a cast iron bin. The bins can be repurposed in another way. It doesn't have to be this great thing where we throw all the bins away and it's not economically viable and all of this sort of business. We can repurpose those bins. I'm sure perhaps on our homeland where, you know, they might be, even just walking here tonight, several of those bins, the doors don't even shut on. So you could